Hello and welcome to U.S. Cricket Now, the podcast covering all things Major League Cricket. I'm Peter Della, and with me is Aaman Patel.
And before we get started, don't forget to follow U.S. Cricket Now on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And you can watch us on YouTube. Just search U.S. Cricket Now.
Now let's get to this weekend's action, Aaman. We just wrapped up the second of two doubleheaders here. In style, Xavier Bartlett. My goodness, he got the Unicorns faithful, the Sparkle Army, out of their seats. They were going wild on Sunday night here at Oakland Coliseum. How was the scene for you from your vantage point, Ellen?
It was brilliant. I was actually down on the field. I was doing the flash at the end of the second innings, and I was down on the field for the final 3 overs of the game. And every misfield that happened out in the deep, the pump fake from Kyron Pollard, everything was just copying a reaction from the crowd. And that was brilliant to witness. The home fans have really embraced their home team.
His finish, which garnered him the player of the match honors, overshadowed what arguably was a more impressive performance leading into that. Hassan Khan, a footnote now, after Xavier Bartlett's performance. Xavier Bartlett, 59 out of 25 balls, 4 fours, 5 sixes, but Hassan Khan really rallied the Unicorns back into the advantageous position in the chase. 43 off 17 balls, 2 fours, 5 sixes. You were in the commentary box for a good chunk of that six hitting, Aaman. Take us through it.
Yeah, when I first got in, it was around the 9th over, and the required run rate had just seeped up to around 10. And it was him and Tim Seifert, and both of them were kind of just trotting along. And then he just got in and got stuck in straight away. I remember the 6 against Kyron Pollard was quite unbelievable. Hit it towards the DJ off his legs. He hit one uppercut out to point. And we were expecting Seifert to maybe be the one to lead it off as Hassan was just starting to find more rhythm. This was strictly out of kind of his minor league play from last season. I was taken straight to Grand Prairie when he was with the Chicago Kingsmen, hit a 50 off just 23 deliveries in a playoff game. And really was a very similar kind of situation for him. And when he was dismissed too, you could almost see he couldn't quite believe the ball he was dismissed on. It was a real half tracker from Sunny Patel that kind of just climbed on him a bit. His innings propelled the Unicorns into a position where they could take their time headed into the last 3 or 4 overs.
And they wound up winning it comfortably. It was a 3-wicket margin, but with balls remaining, and they were looking like it was going to be challenging at one point, but they cantered to victory in the end, which means they finished the weekend undefeated, 3 from 3 here at Oakland Coliseum. The home fans can't wait for more Unicorns action next season because this is the last of the Unicorns matches here at Oakland Coliseum. We're going to have 3 more days of cricket here at the Coliseum, but that wraps up the Unicorn slate. And these fans left here, Aaman, thirsting for more from the Sparkle Army.
It's been brilliant the entire week to see the reaction of the home crowd. Typically, the IPL back teams, the MI New York, the Texas Super Kings, LA Knight Riders, have the fan bases that follow them around. But to see the Unicorns who have really embraced this area, the bucket hats with the unicorn hat on it, the flags waving around, all the merchandise that's going around. It was brilliant to see them loud, up close, in person, and really say, this is our team and we're at home.
You see so many kids around the ground with those Unicorns bucket hats. And the ones who aren't wearing the Unicorns bucket hats, I can't tell you how many kids have come up to me as I'm walking around the concourse taking pictures, and they'll come up to me and they'll go, please take my picture. And if they don't have a bucket hat on, they'll just go and make a horn with their fingers.
Go Corns.
Go Corns. Go. They don't even say Unicorns. The fans, the hardcores, they're saying go Corns. Go Corns. Go Corns. Come on, go Corns. That's how much fervor there is for the San Francisco Unicorns, and it's so great to see. Now, we'll talk a bit more about MI New York and their woes in a bit, but next we want to get to the earlier match in today's doubleheader. Texas Super Kings, Noor Ahmad, player of the match. There was a lot of focus on Rashid Khan being the big superstar spinner from Afghanistan leading into this event. Unfortunately, he had to withdraw on the eve of the tournament, and that's opened the door for Noor Ahmad. All the Afghan fans who bought tickets wanted to see Rashid Khan. They are getting their money's worth seeing Noor Ahmad do what he's been doing here at Oakland Coliseum.
It's reminiscent of prime Rashid Khan, isn't it? What he was kind of a couple of years ago, and even last year in MLC. The way he took his wickets today, when he was bowling to big Andre Russell, that to me was a big turning point. If Dre Russ connects on a couple, the LA Knight Riders would feel more than comfortable back into that game. But he gets him out. He gets Sunil Narayan out, and that effectively closes the door on the Knight Riders. And it's those crucial wickets at crucial times that the young man's consistently delivering on.
Now, Noor Ahmad, player of the match, but arguably the biggest moment of the weekend for TSK One end of the spectrum, we've got Noor Ahmad, the 20-year-old. The other end of the spectrum, 40-year-old, or 40 years young, as Andrew Leonard called it on air, Faf Du Plessis, in the victory they had over MI New York on Friday night, winning by 3 runs, holding on at the death. And a big factor in that victory was the fielding, and none more so than Faf Du Plessis' one-handed catch. I mean, not just the catch of this season, that might be the catch of the whole 3 years of MLC.
It's rivaling Jerome Davis on opening day last year. It's rivaling Corey Anderson from last year and Mitchell Santner at Church Street Park, who actually made the top 10 of SportsCenter. I reckon that's got a good shot to maybe be number 3, 2, or 1. The way he, just again, it's like a baseball catch out in the deep, isn't it? Just from right field, you're running through and you're catching it down the foul line. And he's done that and just stuck it out. And that, again, was one of the turning points with a couple of great plays from Darryl Mitchell invoking a run out. And then that catch, those were the little differences that caused Texas to win by those 3 runs.
Man, the Texas Super Kings finished the weekend 2 for 2. They're also undefeated, just like the Unicorns. And after today's match, spoke to Stephen Wigg, who took 2 for 25, made his USA debut early this year, and he made his TSK debut today. And here's what he had to say about suiting up in the TSKO for the first time. Just take us through when you first got the news that you were going to be making your debut. Was it last night or this morning? And then just your whole thought process, what your emotions were between then and when you finally took the field.
Yeah, so I got a text from Flem last night, Stephen Fleming last night, that there might be a possibility that I might be playing. And then, I found out for sure this morning that I'd be playing. So, definitely, I was very excited, happy to finally play in the Major League. I was excited, nervous, but glad to have come out with a win today.
There you heard it from Stephen Wigg making his debut. For those curious, he's somebody who grew up in India, born to an American father of Dutch heritage. So he's a U.S. passport holder. That's part of the reason why he's able to qualify for domestic player purposes. He's somebody who's worked an awful lot to get to where he is. And somebody who's making his debut at 26. He said, I wasn't a prodigy. I've had to work hard. And he's somebody who people can look up to for that reason. So we're very happy for Stephen Wigg. Now, Aaman, looking at the Washington Freedom, another team who was one of the finalists last year, beating up on Seattle Orcas, winning by 5 wickets. Ian Holland. This is one of the great things about this weekend, Aaman. The domestic players who maybe were looked down upon at the start of MLC. The question was, will they be able to measure up? So far in MLC 2025, they're doing it. And how? Ian Holland, 4 for 19. And it was paced off the ball.
Yeah.
That did the trick.
Yeah, I remember watching him in warmups, and every single delivery he bowled in warmups, not one of them were seam up. A lot of back of the hand, a lot of cutters, and he used that to his advantage out there on the field. And, it's just such a clever way to look at conditions here at the Oakland Coliseum, where you want to get the batters hitting towards mid-wicket, towards cover, really go square. That's where the bigger pockets of the ground are, and do it pace off the ball. So he's very clever in it, and it's hard to believe that Ian Holland, someone who hasn't represented the USA in 3 years, Peter, he hasn't done it since 2022. And this is something that the USA desperately need, isn't it? That third seamer who can bat, who can take pace off the ball. And he's really making the case for himself to be, again, the regular in the Washington 11, which he is, but then to get his way back into the USA team, maybe into that World Cup squad that'll be off to India and Sri Lanka come 2026.
And then the other Unicorns victory, what's been so impressive, 3 wins, 3 different player of the match award winners. We had Finn Allen, obviously, on opening night. And then Jake Fraser McGurk, along with Xavier Bartlett. Jake Fraser McGurk, 88 off 38 balls. The depth in this team is incredible.
They haven't even played Matt Short, who was brilliant last season for them. And Jake Fraser McGurk probably had to play for his spot in the team, just given the way Matt Short can contribute with both bat and ball. But I thought what McGurk did really well, and he spoke about this with me actually between the innings, was that he just had a conversation with his coach and he really wanted to keep things simple again, not try to overhit the ball. And you saw it in the way he played in his innings. A lot of cover drives, a lot of back foot punches. I thought that was a shot of the innings in which he played. And so when he just started to feel his way through the innings and just let the timing do the work rather than the brute force, you could see him reap the benefit. So with the San Francisco Unicorns, who haven't got contributions from their captain, Corey Anderson, yet, who haven't seen Sanjay Krishnamurthy probably at his very, very best yet, are getting these kind of performances from Finn Allen, from Jake Frazier-McGurk, and waiting for Tim Seifert to really come on as well. And they're 3-0. They're going to have a great season ahead of them.
Now, we talked about the good. Let's get to the bad. We got the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
This is the cricket version of Clint Eastwood. All right. Good, the bad, and we're not too far from Carmel. So we've got the good. Unicorns, TSK, Washington Freedom, all coming away with victories in the opening weekend. Now the bad. Seattle Orcas, finalists in year one, and they seem to keep going backwards. What, in your eyes, is holding them back, Aman?
I think it's, again, back to the top of the order. For me, a lot of Major League Cricket is the top of the order, the top of the batting order. And I think David Warner is going to have some big innings for them. And I think in your top three, you look at David Warner, you look at Kyle Mayers, and then Steven Taylor, who's number 3. You need one of those 3 to kick on. Why has San Francisco been so successful? You've gotten at least 40 to 50 runs from the top 3 every single match. When you talk about what you've seen from Washington, Roshan Ravindra, well, it hasn't gotten the 50 score yet. He's been brilliant, scoring those 40s in quick fashion. So you need that one big score from your top 3, and they haven't gotten it. They struggled for it last season, and they're struggling for it again this season. It's tough to judge a bowling group. Washington was so poor their first game in the Coliseum. So with the Orcas, I'll give them a little bit of slack here, but I think the likes of Jesse Singh, the likes of Cam Gannon, and the likes of Obed McCoy all need to find their lengths and the types of deliveries they want to bowl quicker, but they have to have the runs on the board. 140 was never going to cut it here. They need to be more consistently at the 170, 180 mark if they want to compete.
Ugly part one. We'll go with MI New York first, because at least they've had some measure of success in this league. They won the title in MLC 2023, but this group, the absence of Rashid Khan, having to pull out of the tournament is a big issue. It's exposed some of their lack of depth, but with or without Rashid, some of the retention selections and some of the new draft selections they made are not paying off for them, Aman.
Yeah, and it goes back to the top of the order. Agni Chopra, who was a second overall pick this past season, he just hasn't looked real comfortable at the top of the order. And for me, when I look at this 11, the 2 slots that I would have penciled in straight away would have been Quinn DeCock to open the batting and Nicholas Putin at 3. And I'll build my domestics around. So if that means I need to have Mohan Patel open and put Agni to 4, or vice versa, that's fine. Maybe Agni comes out of the 11. Maybe Shadad Lumba, who's had a great minor league season, comes in. That's an option for them. I also do think this is a team that dreadfully misses Nash Kenjige, because I think his bowling factor away from the right-hander, not having Rashid Khan, is such a miss. You're trying to save Braceau for the left-handers, but you just don't have that many to work with. So you're forcing Sunny Patel to really be that guy. He's been quite good through the early parts of the year, but Nash Kenjige just gives you another X factor. So for me, this is a team that needs to relook the top of the order. Nicholas Putin, for me, slides into 3, and maybe it is Mohan Patel to come to open and Shadad Lumba in 4. But whatever that case is, I can't imagine this team going forward without Quinn DeCock opening and Nicholas Putin at number 3.
Well, it's a mix of things. The overseas players, but you look at the history of this league, arguably the strongest teams have been the ones who have had top domestic performers. None more so than last year. Washington Freedom, Saurabh Netravalkar, and Andre Strauss, the 2 top players for USA in the World Cup, were core elements of that title-winning squad. And you look at the teams that are not performing. MI New York is not getting good contributions from their domestic players, Seattle Orcas. And then LA Knight Riders, you could argue they have picked some good domestic players, but it's the misfiring. Aditi Ganesh, they burned a high draft pick on him for him to yet to make an appearance. And they've had a carousel of players come in and out of the lineup on the domestic side, have had decent performances, but no real play of the match performances, nothing commanding. And here we are in year 3, and they're still buried at the bottom of the table like they have been for the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, and they're an interesting bunch. I do think they get better once Jason Holder comes back, and I think the reason for that is their combinations might just make a little bit more sense. I think once you see Jason Holder, the captain, he'll find his way back into the 11. I almost think that Andre Fletcher comes out of the side. The Spice Man leaves. You move Umuk Jan to open, who's been in good form. Nitish Kumar comes in at 3, And then you look at 4, 5, and 6. I think it makes more sense the way that team is constructed to have Alex Hales, McJohn up there, and then you have the Dre Russ at 5, the Shafane Rutherford will come in at 4. You can then have a Jason Holder at, that's 7, a Sunil Ryan at 6. To me, that makes more sense for them, and I think they'll get better once you see the return of Rutherford and Jason Holder.
Well, that's a wrap for this weekend's fixtures. We've had 6 up, 6 down, 3 to go, Aaman.
There you go. We reached the final couple of matches here at the Oakland Coliseum. Hard to believe that we're already towards the back end of the Oakland Coliseum, but we'll start things off with the Texas Super Kings taking on the Seattle Orcas. And for me, this game is so crucial for the Orcas because it's your second game in the tournament. But if you let the Super Kings be 3-0, you let the Unicorns be 3-0, and then now you're banking on some Florida games to go your way, that could be a recipe for disaster.
And for me, can TSK keep up this momentum? Saimu Kamala got off to a fantastic start today. He really lit up the crowd. He got a little bit of luck, was dropped on the boundary on 26, 27, but before that, some of the shots he hit were just totally electric.
That one over cover where he just almost made room for himself, premeditated the shot, and then just hit Dre Russ over there after being hit in the helmet by Dre Russ to start. Again, it just shows the nerve of this kid. He's been touted as one of the best young batters in the country, and he's lived up to it really every step of the way. I'm also curious for that Freedom LA Knight Riders game because that will be the first time the Knight Riders will be at full strength. We've mentioned the Jason Holders, the Shafane Rutherfords coming back in. Rothman Powell should be available as well for them. So those are opportunities for them to beef up that team.
And if form holds, if TSK does come out on top of Seattle Orcas tomorrow night, it could set up potentially a wooden spoon match, Aaman, between MI New York and Seattle Orcas. Both teams who looked so good on paper, especially again coming off of MLC 2023 when they were faced off against each other in the final, to be where they are in 2025, struggling to get off the bottom of the table. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not something you would have thought for this Orcas team that really said, we're going to move away from a lot of the guys and revamp, and we're going to be a completely different face. The new players haven't led to new results. MI New York, a very similar thing. So which of these teams are going to find that right combination?
And one of the great ironies is that the guys who have been discarded by MI New York have found their way into New York. Yeah. So this could be a test of who made the right decision. Right. Did MI New York do the right thing by dropping these guys? Did Seattle Orcas do the right thing by picking up some of these guys? Time will tell on Wednesday. Well, across the weekend here at Oakland Coliseum, we've been able to speak to some of the many fans who have come out to the Coliseum to support cricket here, including a husband and wife who have opened a cricket-themed sports bar in Portland, Oregon. They came down from Portland, as well as a father and daughter from Napa Valley Cricket Club. You got a chance to meet some of the Napa Valley crew. They let you wear some of their amazing blazer.
They told me I'm going to bat number 4 for them as well whenever they start playing again.
I feel shafted. Where was my invitation? And also, we had an anthem singer, today's anthem singer, who I thought was the best of the 4 days, Sukiya. She stole the show with her performance, and she shared how she got involved in MLC. Here's what all of them had to say. You've made the trip down from Portland, Oregon, and you caught my attention because I saw you walking through the concourse with your sticky wicket hooded sweatshirt. What was the motivation to open up a cricket-themed bar?
So I started getting into cricket 2 years ago from catching highlights on YouTube. I spoke to some of my friends from Playing Nations who know the game way better, and I asked them where they go to watch. And they didn't really have anywhere that they can go. And so I decided to create a place for people to watch in community.
Is this everybody's first live cricket match?
Yeah,
yes.
This is everyone's first live. I've seen it on TV.
What else has been enjoyable about the experience besides the things you just mentioned?
With the live games?
Just in terms of a first cricket match in person, what else stands out to you? Whether the fan experience or the on-field action?
Okay, so just to be perfectly honest, I'm not somebody who always really loves sports, and I've had an absolute riot today, which I think says a lot. So I think even for people like myself who aren't necessarily always into things like baseball, basketball, football and stuff, the community really is inclusive and it's fun. And I feel like it's an easy game. While you may not understand all the rules, it's still enjoyable to watch and like participate and shout in. I love that they have like lots of gear and that people have a tremendous amount of pride, and it's, you know, there isn't this weird stake in some of the players where they may play in like other leagues and then come here. There's not like, oh, they're a traitor or sellout. It's like exciting because you still get to see your favorite players. So it just seems like honestly a more positive environment overall, and something that like I feel better seeing.
Why do you think that the time is right now for a cricket-themed bar to succeed in America, specifically in Portland, where it hasn't been able to be sustainable with some other opportunities in the past?
Right. So, I mean, the one that's first coming to mind is we now have Major League Cricket in the United States. We're here at this game, start of the season 3. I think that's going to create a lot more fans and also have some games where you can watch live games at a reasonable hour to also be going to a bar. I'd say the second reason, which my wife said, which I should have thought of way sooner, is that our food and drinks are particularly good. You know, of course, I'm getting a bit biased, but like we've heard good things from our patrons about the quality of that. And I would say the third thing is, even though our focus is cricket, and I will not back down from that, anytime you come in, you can always find cricket. We also have some soccer and rugby, and in Portland, there's a big soccer community as well.
I think also not just soccer and rugby, but like Australian rules football. We put on rodeo for folks and just creating an inclusive space where people who can't always watch their favorite sport or their favorite activity can have somewhere to go and enjoy that.
Anything else you want to say about making the trip down here from Portland to come experience this in person at the Oakland Coliseum?
You all have made a lifelong cricket fan out of me. This has been a total blast. I cannot wait to come back. You know, I'm not going to lie, I'm a millennial. My first foray into cricket was from Downton Abbey, and I will now be watching games, and all of my swag will be up in the bar, or I'll be wearing it out around town.
Michael?
There's no way my answer could be possibly better than my wife's, because I've been trying to get her excited for cricket for the last year, and it's been in one ear, out the other. But now that she's at the game, she's loving it. And just, you know, one day being here, it makes an impact.
Had you ever been to a live cricket match in America before tonight?
In America, no.
But you've been to matches, I'm assuming, in London.
Yes, I've been to Lord's.
You've been to Lord's.
Yes.
What is it like for you seeing cricket played here after the Raiders and A's games and whatever else you've seen here over the years?
It's kind of surreal. I never expected it to look like this, but, you know, sitting here and you can still see the old field. It's cool.
I'm here with Sokia, who was by far the best national anthem performer we've had here in 4 days of matches at Oakland Coliseum for Major League Cricket. Sokia, tell us about your experience being able to go onto the field for a national anthem rendition before a live cricket match here in America.
First of all, thank you so much. My experience was absolutely amazing. It felt so cool to be able to sing for a Major League Cricket game here at Oakland Coliseum, and I'm honestly so grateful for the opportunity.
Tell us how you got connected with Major League Cricket to be able to be out here today and get on the field.
I performed for the NBA. I've sang for the Golden State Warriors and also sang for the NHL for the San Jose Sharks, where I became the first Indian American woman to sing the national anthem for the NHL. And I got in contact with Major League Cricket and sent them over all my performances. And they're like, perfect, would you like to sing this day? And I was like, yes, I'm here. And here I am.
So the Sharks, the Warriors, obviously major fabric of the community, those professional sports franchises, they've been around here forever. Now that cricket's in the Bay, as somebody who's born and raised in the area and has grown up with all these other sports teams around here, what is it like as an Indian American now to finally have a cricket team, which is such an important part of Indian culture now here in the Bay Area?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to have a cricket team out here in the Bay Area. My dad played cricket growing up, and I'm bringing him here for Father's Day, so he's here with me right now, and it's such a cool experience to be on this field and being able to see this happening in real time. So it's really cool as an Indian American to see cricket being played here in the Bay Area.
Well, that's a taste of the many voices, the many characters who have added so much flavor to this first 4 days of cricket and fun at Oakland Coliseum. And we hope to hear from many more inside the ground and outside the ground. Aaman, we want to hear from you, the listeners of US Cricket Now. So email us, uscricketnow@gmail.com. You can also follow US Cricket Daily on YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Personally, I think you should follow on YouTube just to see Aaman's handsome face. Just search US Cricket Now.
Well, don't forget to subscribe, follow us, and rate us on Apple and Spotify because you're hearing Peter's beautiful pipes come through the microphone. And if you want to get in touch with us, make sure to drop us an email at uscricketnow@gmail.com.
US Cricket Now is a Viral Tribe Entertainment and Square Cut production. We'll see you on Thursday to wrap up the end of an amazing week of cricket at Oakland Coliseum following MI New York against Seattle Workers. But that's it for now for this edition of US Cricket Now. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.